नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So Hare Krishna, this evening we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13. It's entitled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. So the verse is 22. Purushaha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakriti sthi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakristo hi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakristo hi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakristo hi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Purusha, the living entity. Prakritisthi, being situated in material energy. He certainly. Bhungte, enjoys. Prakritijan, produced by the material nature. Gunan, the modes of nature. Karanam, the cause. Gunasanga, the association with the modes of nature. Asya, of the living entity. Sat asat, in good and bad. Yoni, species of life. Janmasu, in births. Translation purported by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Translation: the living entity is material in material nature, thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Purport: this verse is very important for understanding of how the living entity transmigrates from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as demigod, sometimes as man, sometimes as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on and in all cases the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of the material nature. How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise therefore above the three material modes and become situated in transcendental position. That is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another, because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to this hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In a Vedic mantra, it is said that he has, as he becomes learned in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunnitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a very beautiful verse. What we see, Prabhupada in the beginning, purport explains that this verse explains. It explains what it explains. It is very important for an understanding of how the living entity transmigrates from one body to another body. So this verse basically is explaining about the transmigration of the living entity. So basically the theme of this is that desire to enjoy forces one living entity in the material nature. So here we should know the living entity is addressed as Purusha. Actually the real Purusha is the Lord, but because we are being associated with material nature since time immemorial, and living entity in all species of life, so they are trying to dominate over the material nature. So as per the Sanskrit understanding, whosoever is trying to dominate is called Purusha. Also in modern world what we see, basically in the West, women, they are also dressed like men. They cut their hair. So it is not meant for the women, but they do everything in that manner. So it is like a dominating tendency. Also in modern world what we see, so the work which is done by men, the women are also opting for that post, like military, police, many things. Actually these are meant for men. If you see Mahabharata war, there was no women fighting war. It was meant for the men. So modern world, because of equality, so there is a big thing in the material world going on in many countries about equality for man and woman. But we should know we are Prakriti, we are nature. Neither we are man nor woman. We are Prakriti, and Lord Krishna is Purusha. So since in this material world we are trying to enjoy, so material world is composed of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion and ignorance. And it is there in all the 14 planetary system, in all 84 lakh species of life. So Prabhupada also quotes that Bhagavad Gita 2.22. So Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya. Like when our clothes, they become old, torn out, so then we change those cloths and we put on new cloths. But the body is same. So similarly in material world, so when this body wears out, we have to take according to our desire our next body. So this is what is going on in material nature. So Prabhupada explains that binding factors, Prabhupada explains different bodies because of the living entity, he thinks he is the master of his circumstances. So now we see in today's world we have diaries, planners, so many things. So we are planning each day. Some people they plan for years, some they plan for months, like you have advance booking, so many planning. So materially seeing, so we are trying to plan so many things and we think we are the master of circumstances, what Prabhupada writes. Yet he is under the material nature. Although there is a saying, man proposes and God disposes. I'll come to that story, very nice story. So then for Prabhupada explains how Krishna consciousness can help. We should know that when we rise above the three modes of material nature, we can be helped. And Prabhupada explains how the change can be affected. If we go through the purport, Prabhupada is giving very systematically how we can change from the material nature to the spiritual nature. So Prabhupada explains, he gives the example here in the purport of Arjuna. If living entity submits to hearing process, he loses his long cherished desire to dominate gradually and proportionately. He comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. So what we should know that we have to give up the material happiness. In that way, Prabhupada quotes one mantra that how one can come to if one comes to spirituality, he can be more and more happy. So now what we say, Prabhupada explains here, it is due to his desire to lord over material nature. This is a very important statement. It is due to lord over material nature. And if we see material world today, everything is competition. You go in every field of activity, there is a competition. For one post, thousands of people apply. If you see, everywhere there is a competition. What does competition means? There is a bossing tendency, dominating tendency. So as I told, there is a saying, man is the maker of his own destiny. So I was telling that man proposes and God disposes. Since the Lord is seated in our heart, there is one nice story in the Purana about one woodcutter. So there was one woodcutter in one village and he used to, sorry, not woodcutter, stone cutter. So he used to go and he used to cut stones. In the olden time, people used to make houses from stones. So one day it was like now summer approaching. So he was sitting in the sun and he was cutting the stones and the sun was very hot and one king's palanquin was going. So all of a sudden he saw that king's palanquin, along with that there was a big bang, big sound, lot many people following from behind. So he had a desire, how come if I could have been a king? Kash mai Raja hota. So man proposes, God disposes. Next moment he was in that palanquin as a king, he was going, but because of the hot sun, so he was thinking, okay, first he thought of becoming a king, okay, he became the king. Then now he was thinking this sun is too hot, he's making life is miserable. So what he thought, if I could have been the sun, so again the Lord made him sun. He became the sun, he was giving the light. So after summer, the rainy season comes. So there was all of a sudden black clouds. The clouds, they covered all the sunlight. And when the sun saw, oh, what happened? Where from these clouds they came? So he began to think, oh, these clouds are very powerful. They are just closing my sunlight. So he thought, maybe if I could have become the clouds, I could have been more happy. So he became the clouds and he was making it rain everywhere. So one day all of a sudden there was a gale wind. And these all clouds, they were forcibly taken by the wind. So he was thinking, oh my God, this wind is very powerful. Maybe I should become a wind. So he became a wind and he was blowing everywhere. Sometimes he was pulling up the roof. Sometimes he was pulling down the trees. This way he was going all the places. So one day all of a sudden he hit a mountain. So he was bounced back. So what he thought, okay, this hill is very powerful. I can't pull it down. So maybe I could have been a hill. I could have been happy. So then again man proposes and God disposes. He became a hill. So again one fine day a stone cutter came and he started cutting the hill. So now he was in perspiration. What he was thinking again now, maybe I could have been a stone cutter. So what he was previously? Stone cutter. So material world, what we see, this is going on. So what Prabhupada explains, that material world, everyone has the tendency to enjoy domination. So it is not that in only human form of life there is a dominating tendency. So even if you see the wildlife, they also have their places. They also try to dominate. There is a saying in English, each dog has his own street. So he's the king there in that street in the night. He becomes the dada of that street. So this is the tendency. It is called Purusha Abhiman. It is called Purusha Abhiman. There is one nice story in Brahma Vaivat Puran. Like one time, it is Krishna was playing his flute, and when Lord Shiva heard Krishna is playing flute, so he followed the sound and he came to Vrindavan, and the Rasila was about to begin. So when Shiva arrived there, Purnamasi sees the controller of all Krishna's pastimes. She pulled him back. She said, "Hey, where you are going?" So you have that false identification, Purusha Abhiman. So you have no right to enter this place. Get lost from here. But Shiva said, "No, no, no, no. I am the devotee of Lord." So all of us know Shiva is the topmost devotee of Lord Krishna. So Shiva, he told, "Why don't you help me? You can do anything." So then Purnamasi said, "Okay, you go to Vrinda Devi and she will do something needful." So Shiva, he went to Vrinda Devi, and Vrinda Devi, she said, "You go across Yamuna, other side, there is a Man Sarovar, and you take a dip, you will get a form of a gopi. Then you can go there." So Shiva, he went to Man Sarovar and he took a dip. He became a very nice, good gopi. Then he came there to the arena. So when the gopis, they saw a new gopi with so many small snakes, So although Shiva became a gopi, but the snakes, they didn't become gopi. They were snake as they were before. So all the gopis, they were conversing. "Oh, this gopi, she has all the ornaments, all snakes." So when Krishna, he overheard all this conversation, he thought, "Oh, maybe this must be Lord Shiva." So Lord Krishna, he came and he embraced this gopi, Lord Shiva. And Krishna, he named him that henceforth your name will be, anyone knows, Gopeshwar. And all the gopis, if they want to join the Ras Leela, then they have to worship you, and when you feel they are qualified, then they will get the entrance into Ras Leela. So what we see, the Brajvasis, they explain that Lord Shiva, he doesn't have this Abhiman in material world. So everyone has his Abhiman. Abhiman in the sense bossing tendency. Purush Abhiman, Stri Abhiman, Desh Abhiman, Apne Azadi ko. There are so many things. For the country, for the state, if you go. So this is what is the false tendencies there in the material world. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 4th canto, Narad Muni explains to Prachini Bhari, the king Prachini Bharishit. So he is trying to enjoy in this material body. So there is a nice explanation. Narad Muni explains, the living entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. But when he forgets his supreme master, Krishna Bhuli, the personality of Godhead, he gives himself unto the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body. And sometimes he is under the influence of the modes of ignorance, sometimes passion, sometimes goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of nature. So also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that under the modes of material nature, urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, adho gacchanti tamasa. Those who are in the mode of goodness, they will go to higher planet system. Those who are in the mode of passion, they will live, they will be born on the earthly planet. And those who are in the mode of ignorance, so this verse explains, those who are in the mode of ignorance, they will go down to lower species of life. So also Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Mamayamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manashastani Indriyani. The mind, it is associated with the 5 working senses under the 3 modes of material nature. And Karshati means he is struggling. What we see material world is a big struggling. material world. So Prabhupada explains that this verse explains the transmigration. It is according to our association. So Prabhupada gives one example of iron. So if you put the iron in the fire, so gradually the iron will also take the form of fire. So we should know, like one time Prabhupada was on a morning walk and he was hearing a big sound of motor car race, big race sound. So he asked the disciples, what is this going on? What is this big sound coming? So somebody told Prabhupada they are having a motor car race. And the sound was like a bee, you know. So what Prabhupada said, yes, they are now trying to become, they are making their next body. They are trying to become the bees. The bee also, they also go round and round, you know. So what Prabhupada said, next life they will become the bees. So again, one time Prabhupada was in morning walk on a California beach. And he saw many people, they are surfing on the ocean. So when Prabhupada, he saw this new thing, he asked, what is this? So some disciples, they said, they are surfers. So Prabhupada said, no, they are not surfers. They are sufferers. They are now making their next life. They are preparing for next life to become fish. So the material nature, it will tell why you are taking so much, you know, pain. You become a fish. Then you need not to exert too much. So again, there is one time one Prabhupada was going by one street and he saw many people eating hot dog. And what Prabhupada said, what is the difference in between these people and the hog eating stool? So they are eating throughout the day. So they are also making their consciousness to become dog in their next life. So Kapil Dev, he tells his mother, like this, in this material nature, he explains, Karmana Daivi Netrena Jantur Deho Upapadyate. Striya Pravista Udhara Pumsa Reta Kanashraya. That means, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman. So this is what we see in material nature. Whatever we are, we can't choose our next destination unless we take to devotional service. Especially those who are in the material world, they can't choose their next destination. And Prabhupada explains, these modern schools, what they are, slaughterhouses, schools and universities, although they are giving the highest education, but the people, those who take the best education, they are not going to get the best life in next life. It is not that they will be elevated to some higher planetary system. No. So what Prabhupada explains, they are being sent to slaughterhouse. And these people, even though they are taking so many degrees, but their behavior and all, it is that like of an animal, because there is always competition, material world. So what Prabhupada explains, that 84 lakh species of life, they are created according to our desire. So we may wonder, how come there are only 84 lakh species? So in the Padma Puran and Brahma Vaivat Puran, there is a mention about Jalaja Nava Lakshani. So in water there are 9 lakh species. This way there are 80 lakh other species. Human species are of 4 lakh. So altogether it comes to 84 lakh. And Prabhupada here in the purport, he gives the example of transmigrating in different species from demigod to human being. So in the story of Chitraketu, if we read Bhagavatam, there is a nice story of King Chitraketu, and what there is a saying, face is the index of mind. So one time Angira Muni came to his ashram, and when Angira Muni asked how you are doing, so Chitraketu, what he told Angira Muni, if you give a hungry person one nice garland, can he be happy with that garland? No. A hungry person needs food. So what he said, I have everything, but my house, there is no progeny. I have no son. There is a saying, one verse there is a saying, Putra vihinam griham andakupam. That means without a son, the house is like a dark well, whatever it is. So Angira Muni told that, okay, I'll make some yajna for you and you will get one son, but make sure that this son will be the cause of happiness and distress. So what the king thought, okay, one son, lonely son, he can do lot many pranks. Maybe that may be the case. So this gory story goes, but what happened? The co-wives, they poisoned this boy, small baby, when this boy was dead. So again the king was in the ocean of lamentation. So when Angira Muni came to know, he told Narad Muni, you are senior, you can nicely make him understand. So Angira Muni, he brought Narad Muni along, and when Narada he came to the king's palace, so all the kingdom, they were in tears because of the losing that boy. So Narad Muni, by his mystic power, he brought back that dead boy to life. And that boy, he sat down and he was asking, who are my parents? So now if your children, they ask, who's my parents? You'll be shocked. So this boy, he sat down and he began to ask, who are my parents? I had lot many parents in different species of life. So now here what happens, the boy, he says, under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as demigod, sometimes as man, sometimes as beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on. And in all cases, the living entity thinks himself, similar, what is Prabhupada explains, himself to be the master of his circumstances. Yet he is under the influence of material nature. What Prabhupada quotes in the purport, dicto, it is same, this verse explains as it is. So we should know material world, we have so many plans, so many things we are going on, and there are in the scriptures, there are so many examples, like Jarasandha. If you see Jarasandha, so he was trying to catch Krishna, fight over Krishna, Balram, and 18 times, 18th time Krishna ran away. He had some other plan. So then we see Kamsa every day he was sending so many demons just to kill Krishna. And he did so many plans. Ultimately he thought, okay, if I get Krishna Balram to Mathura, it will be easy to kill them. That was his thinking. So similarly what we see Dhritarashtra until his last fag end. Anyone knows what is fag end? Especially in the Western world, those who smoke, it's called fag end. Fag end means when your cigarette comes to an end, then you put on another cigarette. That is called fag end. So Dhritarashtra, he was to the end of his life, still he was trying to enjoy. So similarly in material world we have so many examples. Alexander the Great, then Napoleon. Anyone knows what is the quote of Napoleon? What Napoleon said? He said France means Napoleon and Napoleon means France. And when he was caught by British soldiers, he was put on an island. And they used to ask, what are you? And he used to say, I am Napoleon. Napoleon means France. Then they used to say, okay, you are the king, drink this horse urine. So Napoleon was thinking he's the controller of his destiny. But that didn't happen. And if you see with Hitler, Hitler had to do the suicide. And he was thinking his caste is the highest race. So also in today's material world, there are many big thinkers. And they are doing so many things. What they think, they can control the material nature. But we should know that recently in Kathmandu, Nepal, there was a big tragedy. So if we see every second year, third year, so many natural catastrophes, they are taking place. But still, despite all this, we never learn. In material world, what we see, so many things are going on, but these all foolish people, they are planning so many things. So Prabhupada explains, in material world, especially, our tendency is to boss over. There are two verses in the Bhagavatam. These two verses I will read out, very similar. So one verse is from 10th canto, one is from 8th canto. So from that we can make out our tendency, our mentality. So the first verse is from 8th canto, churning of the ocean. When the demigods and demons, they came together, they made a truce just to get the nectar. So when the nectar came, the demons, they wanted to enjoy first. So the verse, mitha kaler abhut tesham tad arte tarta teshasam aham purvam natvam iti prabho. What the demons, they said, O king, a quarrel then arose among the demons over who would get the nectar first. Each one of them said, you can't drink it first, I must drink it first, I must drink it first, not you. So this is the demonic tendency, because we are trying to lord it over material nature. Then later on when we see when Lakshmi was manifest, before that, so everyone was looking, okay, maybe she will choose me. But that didn't happen before nectar came. So now we'll go for the 10th canto. This is in the case of killing Agasur. Similar verse. Yadi dura gata Krishno vana shobekshana ayatam aham purvam iti samsvarshare remire. So here sometimes Krishna would go to some more distant place to see the beauty of forest, Vrindavan. Then all other boys would run to accompany him, each one saying, I shall be the first to run and touch Krishna. So like sometimes you see children when they want to come and catch their parents. When you have 4 or 5 kids, sometimes we make them, okay, who comes and touches me first, like that. So here what we see, all these cowherd boys, they were giving pleasure to Krishna just by touching. So we should know what Prabhupada explains. In material nature, if we are trying anything, everything, but still will be always under the stringent laws of material nature. Because this material nature, Krishna explains, Daivi Yesham Gunamai Mama Maya Durattaya. Durattaya means very difficult to overcome. It is next to impossible. So one time, one Maharaj, I forgot name, so he was giving one good example. So from Germany, what is Maharaj's name? Sachinandan Maharaj. Sachinandan Maharaj. So when he was a kid, he used to make his living for his school fees. He used to distribute newspapers. So he used to distribute in big localities where big people used to live. So one time the owner of the house was coming, and because he was punctual every day giving newspaper on time, so he wanted to give him some gift, something. But every day the dog, that owner's dog, that dog used to bark like anything, And somehow Sachinanda Maharaj, he was afraid of that dog, German dog. So he was thinking one day this dog will just devour me. So that day what happened, the master, he told, okay, you come to my house, I want to give you some gift. So, but still that dog was barking, and Sachinanda Maharaj was thinking, now this is end of my life. So the moment the master, he opened the gate and he told the dog, shut up. So the dog, he became like a puppet, and he knew, he could understand, yes, this person, he is a friend of my master, so I can't do anything to him. So Sachinanda Maharaj, he was telling, I was thinking, okay, this is my last, but the dog, he became so sober. So also what we see, this material nature, it is not so easy. Material world, what we see, people are trying their best to do so many things. Also, like in India, there was one politician, he said, freedom is my birthright. Now he's gone, long time he's dead. Also in the American Constitution, there is a writing, right to liberty and right to, there is speech, so many things. Yeah, right to move different places, can live in any state, like that. So here what we see, this shloka mainly explains about Karanam Guna Sangasya. Guna Sangha. Sangha in India, Sangha means association. And material world, practically we see, there is a saying, the birds of same feather flock together. It applies to all, from all different species of life. So in India you will see there are associations even of beggars. Even the beggars, they have association in India that they should not take below 1 rupee. In Bombay, they say we don't take below 1 rupee. That is beyond our dignity. So you will see in material world there are association. We see doctors association, lawyers association. So there are countless associations. Also you see birds early morning, if you wake up and if you see the birds, they are flying, same species with animals. Even if you see ocean, all the fishes, they are going according to their own species of life. They don't mingle with others. So this is what we see in material world. Karanam Guna Sangasya. So one time again Sachinanda Maharaj, he was giving one good example. Like one time a hawk, it put egg in the hen's nest. And when the baby hawk was born, so the baby hawk, he didn't know how to fly. So it was just walking along the other chickens. And one day one person, he saw, how come this is a hawk, baby hawk, and he should fly. How come he is migrating with the chickens? So he took him and he just put him, he just tried to put him in the air. So that hawk, baby hawk, fell down 2-3 times. Then ultimately he was thinking how to make him fly. So he went uphill and he just threw him down the valley. So when this baby hawk, he saw that he's going down the valley, then he started flapping his wings. Then that way he learned. So what we see, material world, so there are so many stories in Puranas. Like one story, it explains that one time one hunter, he caught 2 parrots, baby parrots, and he gave one parrot to a saintly person and one to a butcher. So now what happened, after some time he went to that saintly person, and when he approached the hermitage of that saintly person, that parrot, he spoke, "Welcome sir, suswagatam." So he was very happy, okay, he's doing very nice. Then he went to the city and he was passing through the shop of that butcher. He didn't go to the shop, but seeing him, the parrot started shouting, "Cut more, cut more, customers are coming." So this is what is the association. And we have a nice typical story of Indra. What do we see? Indra, although he is the king of all the demigods, so one time he was cursed by Gautam Muni to become hog. And this is a big story. Like Indra was born as a hog and he was a patriarch. Anyone knows what is patriarch? He's the main boss of that herd of hogs. So he had lot many female wives, lot many piglets. So one time Brahma, he told Narada, "Why don't you go and get Indra back? He's in such and such village in the form of hog. You just tell him that you are not a hog but you are Indra." So when Narada, he went there, but this Indra in the form of hog, he was convincing Narada, "I am absolutely okay, I am okay, you are okay, everything is okay." So Narada Muni, somehow he couldn't convince him. So then Brahma had to come, and same story, Indra was speaking to Brahma. So Indra, he cut the throat of that hog and he took the soul of Indra. So what we see in material nature, also Narada Muni, he explains to Vyasdev about that in material world, once a person associates with certain nature, it is very difficult to come out. But Prabhupada explains here that if we associate with devotees, Narada Muni explains that persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Pathala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be attained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. So Narada explains, in material world everything will happen, the life will go on. So to a certain extent we can't change the destiny, what is happening in the material world. So but when we come to in association with devotees, there are so many nice verses. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra kahe, Love Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi hoy. So when you are associating with devotees just by a little association, like one time recently one devotee was telling one story of one KGB agent. So when the Hare Krishna devotees, they were preaching in Russia, so the KGB, what they did, it is a Russian secret agency. What they told one agent, you study all these Hare Krishna books and you tell us what exactly these people they are behind. And this person who was a KGB agent who studied all these books, so he left KGB and he joined full time. So that was the effect. Just by reading those books, he got completely convinced, yes, this is the real thing of life. So there are so many stories, like Prabhupada explains one story of one thief. So one time he came with the pilgrims to a holy place, Vrindavan maybe. And when all the pilgrims, they were sleeping in the night, what he thought, okay, now this is a good chance to steal. But somehow, because of the association with saintly persons, his intelligence awakened. So he thought, okay, now I am in the dham among the holy people, so it was better not to steal. So he changed his decision. So although he had taken so many things from the people, So when the morning people woke up, they were looking for their stuff. Then this fellow he confessed, because of my habits. There is a saying in English, habits die hard. It's not so easy. So we are bound by habit. The to err is human. But when we are in association, constantly in association with the devotees, so there is a good chance. So also in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, there is one nice verse. That is, it explains how human form of life is very rare. And when we come in association with saintly persons and we take the benefit from them, labdva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante. It is explained that after many births and death, one achieves the rare human form of life, which although temporary, affords one opportunity to attain highest perfection. Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available in even the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is only possible for human beings. So, similarly, when Sanatana Goswami he met Lord Chaitanya, so just for our better understanding, he asked, Ke ami, kene ame, japa tapatray. Although Sanatana Goswami was a big scholar, so what he said, that who am I, why these threefold miseries, they always give me trouble. I do not know this. How can I be benefited? So in material world, unless one is inquiring or he is in association with devotees, nothing good can happen. So Prabhupada in many places he explains that yes, we have created this society so people can be benefited all over the world. So in material world, what we see more or less in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, Krishna bhuli jiva anadi bhair mukha ata eva maya de sansara dukha. Krishna bhuli jiva anadi bhair mukha means the living entity is separated from the Lord time immemorial. Anadi bhair mukha ata eva maya de sansara dukha. Maya, her job is to give you punishment as long as you are trying to enjoy with the material nature. So the Maya will give you her whips, and what we see in material world. So this is what is going on. Although what we feel, we have done a big advancement technologically, but still the Maya is giving us lot many whips in this material world that we are seeing practically. So we have 5 minutes left. We'll go to the commentary of our Acharyas. So Sridhar Swami he explains that, here he explains, because the living entity is trying to become a Purusha, he can't become. And whatever his enjoyment and his suffering, they are creating more accounts. They are making him further suffering. So here he explains that the living entity, like Purusha, residing within Prakriti, is given a physical body according to his consciousness. Either are enjoying or for miserable condition of life. So this way the living entity is transmigrating in different species of life. Sridhar Swami explains. Then Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that Jiva, just by misidentification caused by beginningless ignorance, this is he calls beginningless ignorance. We don't know when this ignorance started. Thinks that his capacity for action and enjoyment are very by nature. And this way he explains that the living entity is trying to enjoy this material nature, and material nature, whosoever is trying to enjoy the material nature, the laws are very stringent. What Prabhupada explains, that even if we don't know, ignorance of law, no excuse. There is a saying. Prabhupada gives one good example. Even if a child puts a hand in the fire will not say, okay, he is a minor, he is below 16, I will not burn him. Not like that. The fire will burn him. So we should know, ignorance of law, no excuse. Then Baldev Vidyabhushan he explains that Jiva, who is situated in bodily experience, he is experiencing happiness and distress. And now the Supreme Lord, he is being the controller. So he is explaining how the Jiva, although he is trying to enjoy, but he can't enjoy. And the Lord is giver of permission. Anuttama means he is explaining the Lord who gives the permission. So this way he explains that Jiva, he is trying to become a Bhokta. He is trying to become a Bhokta. And everywhere the Jiva, he is suffering for the kind of things what he is doing in the material world. So also this Madhvacharya, he explains, he quotes from one Puran that Jiva, the living entity, so he explains that Jivas have been referred to Purusha. In this verse he explains that Purusha means Jiva. In this verse we should know that Purusha means not Lord. Here the living entity is explained as Purusha, and Prakriti means material nature. And there is always there is an interaction between Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha means this living entity, but the another Purusha is the Supreme Lord. So, but we should know the Lord never comes in touch with the material nature. That should be our understanding. So Madhvacharya, he explains, and the Atma, although he is immortal, but he is compelled to accept unlimited varieties of physical bodies on different levels. Sometimes demigods, sometimes as human beings, sometimes as animals. These forms are naturally awarded according to the gunas or three modes: passion, goodness and ignorance. So this way the Jiva has to suffer for whatever he is doing. So Hare Krishna. Anyone has any comment regarding this? So just to wind up what we see, Krishna explains Karanam Guna Sangasya Sad Asad Yonisu Janmasu. So Bhagavad Gita, what we see, there are countless verses, and also the 5 topics of Gita are that the Supreme Lord, the living entity, material nature. So here material nature and the soul, how they are connected and how the modes are then influencing according to our nature, that is explained. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Want to comment something?